Okay, friends, good morning. Let us begin with our metta recital. We have to mute all of the others.
They are muted.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Let us begin our metta recital now. May all beings be happy and secure. May all beings have happy minds. Whatever living beings there may be, without exception, weak or strong, long, large, medium, short, subtle or gross, visible or invisible, living near or far, born or coming to birth, may all beings have happy minds. Let no one deceive another, nor despise anyone anywhere. Neither from anger nor ill will should anyone wish harm to another. As a mother would risk her own life to protect her only child, even so towards all living beings, one should cultivate a boundless heart. One should cultivate for all the world a heart of boundless loving friendliness, above, below and all around, unobstructed, without hate or resentment, whether standing, walking, sitting, lying down or whenever awake. One should develop this mindfulness. This is called divinely dwelling here. Not falling into erroneous views, but virtuous and endowed with vision, removing desires for sensual pleasures, one comes never again to birth in the wombs. With this metta thought in mind, let us begin our practice. We focus our mind on our breathing and let the breath flow in and out, unhindered, unobstructed with our words, concepts, ideas, and pay our simple, direct attention to our breathing, pure and simple. As we breathe in, we notice the breath touching our nostrils, reaching our lungs, expanding lungs and lower abdomen. As we breathe out, our lower abdomen and our chest area contract, and breath leaves our nostrils. We repeat this every day, every time we meditate, and we experience this every moment we breathe in and out. There's nothing artificial, but all these are very natural. As we pay our undivided attention on our breath, we notice the breath rising and falling, the feeling rising and falling, our perception of the breath and the feeling rise and falls. Whatever thought arises that passes away, that is rising and falling. Every moment of our awareness is also changing. It is continuous awareness of change is very profound practice. Then our breath becomes relaxed, the body becomes relaxed, mind becomes relaxed. In this relaxed state of mind, greed cannot take root in our mind. because we notice that there is nothing to hold on to. Things are always rising and falling, appearing and disappearing. When we really see this very natural phenomenon of rising and falling, greed at any attempt to hold on to anything is futile, meaningless. When we see this, greed will not arise in mind and it fades away. Then the mind and body, the breath become even more relaxed. In that state, rigidity, uptightness, resentment, anger and so on will fade away. Metta feeling we experience. As we experience metta feeling, the mind becomes even more relaxed and calm, because the mind does not resist the flow of metta feeling, and then we become even more relaxed and calm. That time sometimes people feel sleepy and drowsy. At that time we have to arouse our spiritual energy. We may even have to think very sincerely that sleepiness is a hindrance to our spiritual progress, and we have been looking forward this precious moment. Once it comes to us, we must make use of it and do not sleep. And when we arouse that spiritual energy, spiritual urgency, then sleepiness disappears. Perhaps its opposite can arise, that is restlessness and worry, which is thinking of the past or worrying about the future. We all know the past we can never bring to the present, nor can we bring the future to the present. What we experience is only the present moment. Even the memory occurs in the present moment. Once it is gone, we can never bring it back. A new moment, new feeling, new memory, new ideas will arise. Seeing all this, we make even more calm, relaxed and peaceful, because this is the reality. Then also it is possible for people to have doubt about their own success in the practice. They may question themselves, is this going to work for me? Is this right time, place or subject for my meditation? Or is the method is correct? Or the Buddha has given us a right instructions, right message? The community of Sangha following this, are they practicing this correctly? Can they give us guidance? And so forth. All kinds of doubts can arise in your mind. But at the same time, you got to remember that you have been able to overcome your greed, resentment, sleepiness, restlessness, and this ability to overcome these four hindrances makes you comfortable that you have gained some awareness, you have become successful in doing those things, and when you have this confidence in you, you have confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and your doubt fades away and you gain a degree of concentration. This concentration does not make you like a rock or vegetable, like an inanimate object. This concentration we develop through mindfulness of impermanence, mindfulness of rising and falling of everything that is conditioned. Everything we experience is the conditioned things. Every conditioned thing is rising and falling, rising and falling. In fact, there is no object that is not rising and falling. When we see this, that alone, full awareness of rising and falling alone, turns into your concentration. Therefore, in the concentrated state of mind, you see rising and falling in the subtlest form, subtlest, minutest way. And that is what the Buddha called seeing things as they really are. Everything has in its intrinsic nature, the nature that is born with. Everything is born with this nature that is rising and falling. When we see this very clearly, very deeply, your greed, roots of greed, hatred and delusion fade away. One day, by overcoming all these roots, you will get unconditional state, eternal peace that never changes. Until such time we practice it, even after that we continue enjoying that peace. With this, I like to stop and then we continue our practice. I gave all instructions at the beginning. You may remember them. Don't repeat any words, and you will see them happening in your own practice. Imina punya kammena Mahebal samagamu Satang samagamu tu Yava nibbana patya. By means of this meritorious deed, may I never join with the foolish, may I join always with the wise, until the time I attain Nibbana. Dukkha patta cha niddukha, bhaya patta cha nibbhaya, soka patta cha nisoka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. Bhavagupadaya avici ettato ettantere sattakayupapanna Rupi arupi ca sanya sanyino dukkha pamunchantu pusantu nibbuting. From the highest realm of existence to the lowest, may all beings risen in these realms, with form and without form, with perception and without perception, be released from all suffering and attain to perfect peace. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Friends, we want to continue our Dhamma talk. I started last time on dukkha and explain it to some extent, but I don't think that can be covered so quickly. And also people perhaps have some misunderstanding of dukkha. The misunderstanding is that entire life is dukkha. That is not so. The Buddha said, if all we have is dukkha, then nobody would like to live. We have very beautiful, pleasant moment, and we experience happiness. We are glad. We have very delightful moments in our lives. But we at the same time experience that beautiful delight moments are changing. They always don't remain delightful, happy, pleasant, but they change. When they change, we experience disappointment, dislike, and so on. However, that disappointment, dislike also is not permanent. And this is how our experience in life continues. Pleasure, pain, pleasure, pain. Happiness, unhappiness, unhappiness, happiness. Dukkha, happiness, and so forth. They keep changing. This is called Loka Dhamma. And in the Aditya Pariyaya Sutta, the discourse Buddha gave to 1,000 monks. The first time he gave it, there were 1,000 monks, and after that he repeated it many ways in short forms and long forms and so on. There he said that our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, their respective objects, sight, sound, smell, touch and thought, the consciousness that arises because of these two, contact that arises from these, eye contact, ear contact and so on, and the sensation of feeling, pleasant, unpleasant or neutral, arising depending on these six senses and sensory objects and consciousness, also are, and all of them are on fire. What fire? Fire of greed, fire of hatred, fire of delusion, fire of birth, decay, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair. These are the 11 types of fires that we are burned in these fires. You may, when you hear this, you might think, well, we don't feel that fire. You certainly feel one time or another. But we are very good in using something to avoid it and don't look at them directly. So this has happened to us in the past. It is happening now. It will happen in future. And therefore, the dukkha is always coming and going, coming and going. When it is there, I say dukkha. When it is not there, it is sukha, happiness. When happiness is there, we are happy. When happiness is not there, we have dukkha. And so forth. These are always changing, appearing and disappearing. We mentioned at the beginning of our meditation instructions, everything is rising and falling, appearing and disappearing, including suffering. Even suffering appears and disappears temporarily. And that has been going on all over our samsaric existence. What is the samsara? The wheel of birth and death, called samsara chakra. In this samsara chakra, we experience this not once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. Buddha gave, as I mentioned the other day, Buddha gave almost 19 similes in Samyutta Nikaya. People who have read Samyutta Nikaya certainly might have come across these similes. But I don't assume that everybody has read it, and therefore let us spend a few minutes on focusing our mind on this to understand how long we have suffered in the past. Buddha said, bhikkhus, he addressed bhikkhus, monks, who are the closest associates with of the Buddha, that in the Jambudvipa is current India. India those days was not as small as now. It's a large country. In that large country, if somebody collect all the grass, all the woods, and chop them into small pieces, assuming like half an inch, we chip them, making it into small pieces, and say, taking one piece and put aside, saying, this is my mother. This is my mother's mother. This is my mother's mother's mother. This is my mother's 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 mother. And so forth. If you keep putting each of these piece of chips aside, the amount of number of chips will exhaust, but the amount of mothers we had in the past would not exhaust. They are much greater in number. And also, we have had so many times, we had so many mothers. And where are they now? And then Buddha said, suppose someone collect all the earth and make it into small balls as big as moong dal, or grape seeds, small balls, and remove from one after the other, saying, this is my father, this is my father's father, this is my father's father's father, this is my father's 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 father, and so forth. If someone were to remove them, the amount of earth, balls of earth, would exhaust the number of fathers we had in the past, would not. That long we existed in samsara. And then he said, third simile, Buddha said, bhikkhus, suppose the amount of tears that you shed over the death of your mothers, see the amount of mothers we had, amount of fathers we had, and the death of our uncles, aunts, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, children, friends, and so on. If we were to collect all of them, and if we were to collect the tears that we shed over the death of all these, that tear, if somebody can collect, would be much more than the waters in the all oceans. So much tears we have shed in samsara. Samsara is, the origin of samsara is indiscernible, and because of our ignorance and craving, we do not see the beginning of samsara. In that samsara we have shed so many tears over the death of all these beings, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, friends, relatives, children, parents, and so on, is much greater than the waters in the old oceans. And the amount of milk that we have drunk from our mothers, also Buddha said, is much greater than the all ocean's waters. Then he was very great in giving similes in order to drive his point, to make us understand how long we have lingered in samsara, experiencing, going through this suffering, in order to arouse our spiritual urgency, how much we work hard to achieve, to liberate ourselves, achieve liberation, how much hard we must work. Then Buddha gave another simile that is also very mind-boggling simile. He says, suppose there is one yojana long, yojana is eon, yojana is the distance, one yojana maybe in today's term maybe 7 miles high, 7 miles long, 7 miles wide, cube of 7 miles cube is there is a huge mountain of that size. A mountain is so big, it is 7 miles long, 7 miles wide, 7 miles high, this mountain. And a man every 100 years, may not be the same man, maybe a man in every 100 years taking the softest silk cloth. Buddha said Benares silk. Today you can say Chinese silk or Vietnamese silk or whatever. Take a silk cloth and rub against this mountain, rocky mountain, the mountain is made of rocks. So he rubbed over it once in every 100 years. The rock will wear out, but the yojana or samsara is not. That long we have existed in samsara suffering. Another simile he gave, similar area, suppose there is iron walls around in that size area and filled it with mustard seeds, and you remove each mustard seed from there again once in 100 years. The amount of mustard seed will exhaust, but the length of samsara, the time we lived, is not enough. It will not exhaust. So, suppose suppose a man, four persons, four disciples of the Buddha, spent each with a lifespan of 100 years, living 100 years, and each day they were each to recollect 100,000 eons. There would still be eons not yet recollected by these persons. When those four disciples, each with lifespan of 100 years, living 100 years, would pass away at the end of 100 years. It is not easy to count this amount of eons and say that there are so many eons, or so many hundreds of eons, so many 100,000s of eons, and they will not exhaust. Even though they keep counting the number of eons that they lived, the eons they will pass away, but the eons will not. Buddha said, suppose someone collect sands of river Ganges from the beginning point to the end points. That is, when you start collecting, piling up the sands of Ganges from the beginning point till the point that it goes to the ocean, all the sands he collects and tries to count the number of sands. The number of sands will exhaust, but the length of time he spent in samsara will not. And we have seen beings, suffering beings, persons, so many unfortunate beings in our life, so many happy beings in our life. Their number is so much that we even cannot count. We too have gone through those moments. And therefore, friends, what is suffering? Is our counter-intuitive occurrence. In our intuition, our wish is something that can never exhaust. As long as that intuitive wish for something, to get something, we don't fulfill, the suffering is there. Suffering is, dukkha is, it's not going to be permanent. We all know that is not permanent. That is impermanent, just like anything else. And therefore, we just, by explaining, we cannot make someone understand suffering. But one has to introspectively look at oneself. This is what we call come and see. One must look at oneself honestly, without any bias, to understand what it is. Then one will understand what suffering is. Explaining it is to make people realize it is impossible. We cannot explain it. But each and every one of us experience it. Most people deny that it is there. So our purpose of emphasizing this is for us to open our eyes, exactly like the Buddha mentioned in the Kalama Sutta. In the Kalama Sutta, it is not a kind of belief. It is the personal experience. When we personally experience it, we will know what it is. And we encounter it every day. And that is why we want to impartially focus our mind on what we experience. In order to do that, we have to develop our mindfulness, gain concentration. When these two combine together, we will understand what suffering is. So, friends, this may be enough for on this topic, and we will proceed with the rest of the Four Noble Truths. Second is we will start next week to speak on the second truth, and then until then I want to end this morning's talk and also end my use my regular wish for all living beings, as I do at the end of each Dhamma talk, especially since March last year. That is, let us all wish that all those who are in hospitals suffering from various type of diseases, sicknesses, physical as well as mental, recover very quickly and return to their normal life, continue their Dhamma practice and attain liberation from this long samsaric suffering, and attain everlasting peace called Nibbana. And those doctors, nurses, all other hospital workers in various capacities, many of them take risks in treating these contagious diseases, infected patients, and they are very compassionate people. So we want them to be free from diseases, infections, and have a very normal health, to continue their compassionate service and live long in very good health to continue the Dhamma practice. And those who are affected by losing, those who are grieving over the death of their loved ones, especially during this very unfortunate period, COVID patients, some of them have passed away. When one person passes away, many of that person's relatives, friends, and so forth suffer. And that is one very common way of experiencing suffering, and we want them to be free from that grief of losing loved ones, separating from loved ones. They experience suffering. May they be relieved from that suffering and return to normal life to continue their Dhamma practice and liberate themselves from samsara. There are many people who are supporting materially, financially, spiritually to recover these people. We want to wish them also to be free from this infectious disease and continue their normal life and practice Dhamma and liberate themselves from samsara. Many leaders in the world have taken very positive steps to encourage people to get vaccination, to immunize them, and also to recover. May those leaders live long in very good health without affected by this COVID and other infectious diseases or any other disease. May they live long in good health and practice their noble service. And others who are lagging behind, be wise enough to take positive steps very quickly and encourage people to get vaccinations to recover from this and immune themselves from this disease. And those who have discovered these vaccines, we want to wish them very happy life, healthy life, peaceful life, so that they can even in future continue their noble service. Overall, we want to wish everyone peace, happiness, and liberation from samsara. With this, I want to end this morning's session. Thank you for participation. Your participation in this is an encouragement to me to continue my little service at this time. So thank you all for listening and participating. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Everyone Saranai Bhante.
Sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.